Hi everyone, in this video I'm just going to go and talk a little bit about setting up GPS on our new tractor, our T5. This is something we bought on a sort of third party thing. It's not a New Holland as it were, so it's CHCNAV. As with everything electrical these days, it is a Chinese design, but they've got quite a lot of nice videos showing self-drive track vehicles going into rice paddies and also more Western sort of videos as well. So what comes with it is the GPS receiver. This gives us accuracy down to about an inch either side of the line. So if you say that far accuracy with the aim of going down between the H and the C, that's what this should give us. So that's the dome that goes on top. I've already popped the screen in actually here, so that's mounted on a standard New Holland bracket, the same as our audio box for our trailer rides. So that screen is the sort of, I guess, the brains behind it. And then to steer it, it's got its own steering wheel that will replace ours. That's quite a bulky unit because underneath that is the motor, and that is what drives it and steers it along. We've also got a steering position sensor, and this is going to have to go on the place of the one that's here, something like around there, I should think. There's already a Trimble device on there, I think, from the previous owners. They just haven't taken it off. I think this was used up in Lincolnshire for trials, from what Henry at Boland Tractors said. So shout out to Henry who sold us this machine. So yeah, we've got to work out. The difficult part is not going to be mounting these little things, it's going to be wiring it all. So I'm probably going to have to get wires running up behind the dash for the steering, down up on the roof. I'll show you, we've already got a bar up here, so probably going to have to use the old cable clips to run the cables down from the roof up into the dash. We're probably going to pull it, not the dash, sorry, the side panel, probably going to have to pull it all through here. There's a little gap at that back window there, so that comes out, allows cables to come through. That's probably going to have to lift this up, duck the cables through here, get them to pop out to go in the back of the screen, because as you can see there's all sorts of connectors going there. There's a power on off switch that has to get mounted there, and we'll take power from the standard tractor 25 amp socket there that we've got plugged in for our audio stuff at the moment. But we will not be doing trailer rides and audio at the same time as doing GPS. So this GPS is very much about steering the tractor up and down the field, keeping it straight, getting nice straight lines. So the reason for this is so that we can plant pumpkins, sweetcorn and sunflowers all in the same lines, so the same row spacings, and we can then mount. One of the reasons I bought this tractor is we can mount a steerage hoe on the front, an old 1970s, 1980s, I'm not sure when Grandpa bought it, steerage hoe. Ted Wood's getting it modifying for us at the moment, because it used to live on the 4000. I'll show you the mounting brackets on that. It was a bit of a pig to drive that. It's old, a bit wobbly, all the steering joints a bit wobbly over the years, come loose, because that was built of the 4000 was 70s tractor. And with it fitting on here, with the GPS, it should steer it really nicely. It will be a lot more relaxing, less mental workload to keep it on the not mowing down endless pumpkins, because we'll have planted the pumpkins with this, so the GPS will know where the rows are already, and we will just tell it to follow every alternate rows, because the hoe will go and row 1.5 rows every time for one pass of what the planter's already planted. And we also have a hooded sprayer, which I'll overlay on this because that's in the shed, it's not with Ted, and that will do the job after the steerage hoe's been through. So the aim of this, although it's very expensive to get a new tractor with a GPS and modify the tank to go on the front linkage and the steerage hoe to go on the front linkage, it will should give us better efficiency. We'll need less sprays, we'll need less drivers out in the field, so it should save us time and should give us a better yield on the pumpkins for less inputs over a period of time. Lots of shoulds, as with everything in business. You invest in it with the idea that it's going to be better. Hopefully this is. Right, it's enough talking. We'll crack on and do this step by step. Well, that was fun. As you might have seen from the time lapse, that was a lot of up and down ladders. As with these things, you never have the right tools when you want them. I've just realised I've left that cap there, but it is now mounted, cable tied, so there's like a glue layer underneath. You can just see it in there. Tech screw, metal tech screw down as a devil support, tower it along the bar, tack down along the roof using the old connectors. It looks a bit ropey down here. I don't think there's anything else. I've got it tied at the top and at the bottom there, and then it goes through the purpose-built receptacle. And at the moment, got all the wires there ready to connect up to the back of it. So next job, I'll probably leave those wires alone for the time being, will be probably to get the steering wheel off, and that'll be a bit of a game, because no doubt there'll be all sorts of proprietary nuts and bolts and things that are going to be a faff to get it off, but that'll probably be the thing I'll tackle next. We'll see where we get to. Right, things progressed. I haven't done the steering wheel because I did a quick Google online and it looks like a bit of a pain to get off, so I decided to trace where the wheel sensor goes and make sure it's not connecting anything to do with the tractor now. I was pretty sure it wasn't because it had Trimble written on it, and that's a brand name for another type of GPS, and there's no GPS remaining in here from the previous owners. So I popped this bad boy off here, found the Trimble cable, confirmed indeed that it does just go to a loose plug. It was all coiled up neatly in here, and then I went a bit mad and started disassembling things, which I think I need to do because I have actually rerouted that cable down through the window seal from outside now. It was going down and clipping in and coming through this purpose-made bit here, but we used to run some flashing light leads through these seals on the old 10 series. In fact, we still do on the 6.6, and I decided that was a better bet because it keeps it inside almost straight away, yeah, we can go from there. And I also think that then it'll fall neatly down and be able to tuck in. This is all dead space here just for cabling. I should be able to tuck all of this massive, or a good chunk of this massive cable loom that's all down here, and I'm going to struggle to get out one-handed, but leave just the plugs coming up to go into the screen. And then where I've got all this out, I'm hoping I'll be able to use this old Trimble cable as a pull through to pull through the new cable for the new GPS. So that is progress so far, and I'll keep going from here. So things just got interesting. So I pulled up the mat to get access to where all the cables were. I thought it's only this cable that needs to come out. It's down here. It's easier to take the mat out because I couldn't get the screws for this panel. And I was like, well, there's an awful lot of other cables here that don't look like there's anything to do with the tractor as well. I started pulling them, and yeah, lots came out. And I was like, that looks pretty significant. And it turns out the whole Trimble system, excluding the screen and the controller, is still fitted. So that there is the steering, what I believe is the steering controller. If someone knows about Trimble, correct me. The battery connections are there to hook it back up, and then there's an override control module here, which will, if you obviously steer the steering wheel, it overrides the steering system. So I've done a quick bit of searching, and it looks, I can't find what I'd need to install in here, but I've already bought these kits, which is a bit annoying, but I think I'm probably in it now, committed. I can't send it back. I'm just going to have to coil the old Trimble stuff up, and maybe if we get another one of these tractors in future, I'll be able to take the kit I'm going to install out and put a Trimble system in here. Whether it's still available then or not, I don't know. There you go. That was an interesting find. I was getting ready to cut cables and rip them out. I was very close to doing that. I'm glad I didn't, because they're probably worth a fair bit with the tractor if we've got the Trimble kit to install on it. So I'm in it for our kit that we've installed now. I've got the antenna and roof. I've bought the bracketry for the screen. I'm probably just going to have to coil up these cables nicely in there, probably down the bottom somewhere, hoover up all this. Put the sensor on this side now for my kit, and take the cable back along this side of the axle and trace some stuff up. Tidy up the cables underneath, because I started snipping them to pull them up, and then thread them up through those holes up in there. So that was an interesting find. I'd love to know a bit more if people know what that Trimble kit is, how much it is. I had a quick look on eBay and Google and couldn't see what I'd need to connect all this stuff up to. I mean, I can see it's basically it looks very similar to the back of our controller, and those plugs obviously they're different, and you can see the controller P7 and there's the power, etc., all down here, but not what we needed, or not what we need to fix up the system I bought. So onwards and upwards. I will stop ripping out Trimble stuff, coil it up neatly, hoover up all the dust that's left underneath the carpet I pulled out, found a load of extra gubbins and free tie wraps down here. Yeah, tidy up, and then get going with pulling the cable through probably a different direction for the sensor. Right, a little bit later on, I changed my mind on the cabling for the Trimble system, and that is what is left. I figured there's a big live and neutral wire going down into the battery that's in the cab, and even though it's fused, I just didn't really like it. So I've taken all the connectors off, bagged them up from the kit, from the steering valves, took the steering sensor off, angle sensor, put the new one on. So that is now running up under the cab over there, pops out under there, cable tied up, comes up, following up. At the moment it's just looped around, and that's the end of it there, so that's got to go into the other wiring loom at the back. Also found an RTK antenna that's now on the roof, along with the box we fitted earlier, so that's up there now, wobbling away, ready to be knocked off on the first sign of a tree, but at least it's on a magnet, so it shouldn't do too much damage. We just have to put it back on, and yeah, that is as far as I'm going tonight. Put the kit away. I've got to brave the steering wheel at some point. I'm not looking forward to that after seeing, I saw some gentleman on the internet on a forum who's got a great big clamp on it, and it didn't look fun. I might have to pick the brains of a dealer on this, but otherwise, apart from wiring, I think that's pretty much there. So wiring, reassemble the tractor, put the steering wheel on, and we'll see how it goes. All right, so started to make a bit more progress. Getting all the cabling in. Got the LTE antenna on, which is this funny thing here. Got all the cables plugged in. I also hadn't realised we have got a camera on this one as well, so we can remote sight a camera. I'm going to leave it coiled up in the cab because I think it'll be much more useful to have it like on a remote machine where we can't see, because tractors generally have got quite good visibility. So you can see over the front, at the back nicely, and really quite low down to the hitch, etc. What I'll probably do is, for when we have the band spray on us, I might drag it out, tie wrap it on there onto the top link, and then down to look at the sprayer nozzles across the sprayer, so we can actually see that they're not catching plants. You really don't have any visibility there, so that'll be quite useful for that. Or if we've got it on the steerage hoe, again, we can just tie wrap it temporarily. I've got a GoPro mount there, so we could probably get a GoPro mount and put a cable tie and just tie the cables off to the front link and down, looking at the that is a very much a blind spot down here. So that'll be quite useful. At the moment, I'm just trying to get the power in. We've got a spare supply in here. So I was going to put it into the 25 amp plug here, but we've also got a 25 amp supply which isn't connected to anything here. I'm just trying to get some connectors. I was trying with these Wagos, and they're just too small for this cable size, unfortunately. So I was thinking I possibly should have put some spade connectors in. I just don't like that, because if it comes apart in here, then no one can see, and it'll be a bit of, oh, it doesn't work. I'd rather it be a physical screwed in connection, but it's just caused me a bit of hassle. Otherwise, once that's done, I can start cable tidying and storing it all behind here. I'm going to put the steering motor cable, which is quite a fairly thin cable, under the carpet. This is supposed to be, this side is only supposed to be an emergency exit, so it's not really a bodge, as it were. I'll either come up behind here and trace up through there, up the steering column into the steering wheel, or I'll come across here. I'll come across that bit there. One way or the other, we'll work something out. Yeah, let's get on. Also, getting on well now. Got the cable in, up, and tidied, tie ratchet in there. I've been using a solder iron to burn holes in the plastic rather than, because it's right on the edge. If I drill that, it's just going to make a mess. So it's not leaving too much of a horrible thing if we take it out in the future. I've done the same up at the back here as well, where I want the fuse holder to come out. So we've got a convenient large supply here that's connected to the battery permanently, and also one down in there as well, which will go for the audio system. So I don't really want to mix them up. They're fused on the tractor, so they're protected, but there's also a fuse holder on the supply as well, which I'm going to I've cut out these grooves there, so this will stick out, and I'll probably label it so we know what it is, just to double up and make sure. So now it's on to paneling it all back up and making sure I put everything out in the right place. I've just given it a quick blowout, so there's not too much crud lying on the floor, and we'll get on from there. So now I'm just putting it all back together. I've got screws all going back in. That's the cable that's going to go under the floor. Just repositioning everything, getting your fingers in between lovely sharp bits of plastic to fit everything back together. Not long now. Right, moment of truth time. Everything is put back. I have checked power coming out to here, so I know there's power getting to this. So there's no reason why it shouldn't work. Everything's secured back down. Giving it a quick clean. And I've clipped up the camera using one of these funny cable clamps, which I just found lying around in the shed. It's quite useful. So here we go. Let's fingers crossed. We have a green light. That looks promising. There we go. There is power. I haven't done the steering wheel for the task. Just take that there. I think I'm going to get our local dealer to come out and pull. Oh, it's doing something. Flashing lights. It's because you need a puller to get this off. I have got one, but I just can imagine that me spending an hour on it and then cursing is not going to be as effective as just getting someone who knows exactly what they're doing out to come and take it off. So wait for that. It looks like it's still loading. There we go. It's just an Android tablet, really. I've got to put the floor back in. That's a bit of a pain, but I will quickly blow it out. I've got a Makita blower to blow out all the dust. Oh, more stuff coming on. Agree. Don't drive and operate tech. At least not on the road, anyway. Yeah. Yeah, figured that, because I haven't put anything into this really. Still got to do a little bit of setting up and make sure it works. Successful loading. Well, it's got some satellites. That's 15. And a signal red, I'm guessing it means it's not happy and needs initializing. But yeah, that looks promising. We have some success. Well, next step will be steering wheel, and then we'll go and once all that's plugged in, then see where we're at. Looking good though. Let's turn it off and head in for the evening. Well, this is fun. Not. I am putting the new steering wheel in, which I didn't expect to be easy, and it's probably the hardest thing so far. The old one came out, I didn't swear, and I didn't belt it with a hammer. The hammer worked though, the swearing didn't.
So I have the dash in bits, and this is not easy. I've had to make up some brackets based on what was sent in the pack, and then I've had to modify the brackets, drill holes in, and these are aluminium, so they're easy to drill holes in, but not that great for working down with sanders and all the steel kit that we've got, because we don't do aluminium on farms very much. I've got to try and bodge it on top of this. There's insulation tape here to keep the metal away from the conductors under there, so we don't get flashing lights when we don't want them. And I've got to put that bracket on there, but I had to disassemble even more of the dash to take this off to allow me to get a bolt through here onto this bracket on the other side, which has got to sit there, and then that pin down there locates in this, and that's what allows the motor, which is that big drum on the back of the steering wheel, to actuate off. So yeah, it's a bit of a faff. I fully intended to video this and then got well into it and remembered, and I haven't got my mic, and I'm sorry, but I have remembered to get the camera out at some point. So there's stuff everywhere. I'm supposed to be going and driving this within the hour. Let's see if I can reassemble it. I need to get on. Alright, you can see now what the palaver is. So this is the bracket I've made. I've put it in there. I've even cut down a Allen screw to focus you swine. But I just couldn't, that just wasn't enough for the Allen key to bite on there. Because this is just so tight. The guy who sold this to me suggested that I could use an exhaust clamp around here, which I think might have worked actually if I'd have put a narrow one on, and then I could have drilled a hole in the dash here to locate that pin. But hopefully I'll be able to drill through that bit just beneath the hazard light, and it'll be almost invisible. Everything still works. Let's get going, keep assembling. Alright, that's that reassembled. I just kind of made a mark here where I've got to drill in to the plastic to take that post now, and I'm probably going to have to angle grind that off so that it doesn't interfere with the indicator stalk, because this is telescopic. What a movement. I'm going to have to make sure that it can't go down and crush it, but also can still engage, so that's going to be a fun one. I am so close. I've got the hole in, that fits. I've kind of got it in a nice driving position, I think. Might not be to everyone's taste, but it feels good to me. And obviously it'll quite often be set up there anyway because it's doing its own steering. I have gone to put the nut in here, which is a real sod to get to. I thought, well, just how can I I don't know how I'm going to get that in there because I can't even reach with my fingers. How am I going to get a 27mm metric nut done up in there? I was about to do my nut in 27mm, 27mm, 27mm. When in the good old box of Draper, you could literally make a bush out of that. Thank goodness for that. Let's get it on. Right, it's on. It is in. I had a panic moment where I thought I'd not left enough slack in here to get this cable on, but it's on, it works. There's an emergency disconnect button there, you can reach that, you can still reach the hazards. They still come on, reach the indicator and all that fun stuff, forward, reverse, goes up and down. I can manually make it go in and out telescopically with a 13mm because I had a bit of forethought and stuck two 13mm locking nuts on there and locked them together. It's locked in there so it moves against the bracket and not against the steering lock. It looks quite tidy. Next thing is to actually go out and test it, but now I need to go and pick up the front tank and the steerage tray from Ted, which I'd said I'd be there for between 6 and 7, and it's 6:45 and it's a 15-minute drive, and I haven't got the trailer hitched on yet. So off we go. First test.
Now, this is the last thing to do is to set up the device to tell it where everything is. So the points of where the hitch are from the axle, the forward and backwards, the width of the steering, height of the antenna, etc. So got my testy tape measure out and get all this filled in.
Wow, here we are. It's doing something. We have got our RTK login, which was a problem before. I had to ask Elliot for it and realised he hadn't given to us. So now it is doing its calibration, which is kind of exciting. So it's steering itself around on the grass all by itself at the moment. It knows where we are. I've seen a quick Google snapshot, it's found where we are. There we go, calibrate success. So just need to finish off the calibration, then we'll go and see if we can do a bit more with it. That was I also got the manual for it, so I got quite a long way without any kind of help, but the manual certainly cleared some things up, which is good. So I'm going to carry on with the calibration now and see where we get to, but everything seems to be working, which is good. There we go. This is finishing up the calibration test. It's kept keeping itself on this line here. I'm not touching the steering wheel, it's going a bit mad, but got another 6 meters to go and then it should be finished this level. It's probably going to be for me now. It says. Right, well, we are out in the field and it all seems to be working. It's taken a little bit of time to get used to it. This is not something I've done. I've not driven a GPS tractor before. I don't know 100% if I'm doing it right. Someone might be able to advise me. But I'm tending to find it's better to, there we go, it's better to start it off on its own first. Oh, sorry, on my own first, and then get it to auto steer. The headland option is another 500 quid, which I'm not convinced of yet. I haven't got something quite set up right. I'm going to speak to Elliot. It's missing. So you can see I'm going across the field without having to jump on the brakes at the moment. So I'll then go back and fill it all in. And I was finding it was leaving gaps of about that much on the other one, which isn't accurate enough for us to plant pumpkins really. In the way I was, well, it's certainly going to do a very straight line, but it's not going to be as consistent. Look at those seagulls enjoying the worms and bugs that dug up. So yeah, the steering wheel is doing its thing. I need to possibly take the dash apart and put another nut on the bolt, which is going to be a bit of a pig because it's wobbling a bit at the moment. I don't know if you can see it. That bit there is moving, so we're going to see. We'll see. I'm pretty happy with it. So at the moment, at the end of the row, I just tap that, it stops steering. I lift it up, and then I'm turning it manually and just doing a nice gentle loop round into the next one. In fact, I don't know if I need to do this because I'm on the headland now. Yeah, I've gone too far-ish, so I'm going to come back onto this one now and then go back across the field, do a bit of reversing. Clutch is a little bit funny on this one. I don't know if it needs configuring, but it keeps coming up with an error message whenever we turn it around. There we go, coming back into another one, just press it and off it goes again on that. Driving on its own. So this farm is actually my uncle's farm. He's having pumpkins planted as well. So he's got 3 fields here that we're doing. And I'll set them all up with boundaries on here. I set the AV lines up for powering. I have to do the same for pumpkins because I can tell this one to do, it's really clever actually, I can tell it to do so many rows at a certain width and then leave a certain width and then start again, which is really important for pumpkins because we have rows between them. Paul might not want it like that, but here's the thing you can see earlier. I've got a tiny gap there, and if you look behind, you see it's not that obvious on this one actually. It was worse earlier, but that's something I want to try and speak to Elliot and see if I can improve on. But yeah, Paul might just want more planted in one line. I've got to check with him. But we've got a new tank to go on this tractor, which I picked up the other day. The new planters arrived. The GPS is working. So, mission success on new tractor-ish. Got a season of testing it. I'm sure there'll be some things to learn, but I'm pretty happy with it in general. I don't think these little gaps are insurmountable, and yeah, time to finish the field and then go in for dinner. If I can't stall the tractor. These used to be raspberry rows, so there's big lumps, and I've just driven through it because I'm talking to you and blocked it all up and stalled it. Which means I need to wrap up this video and get going and finish the field. Nice to chat to you. I will do another video, possibly when we're planting pumpkins, maybe a bit before, we'll see what happens, and showing it in operation. It's not that far away now, we're in the end of April, so we could be planting pumpkins with this, yeah, middle of May. See what happens. Catch you on the next one. Cheers.